What's going on, Guardians? My name is The Black Link, and today is Thursday, August 27th, 2020. Can you believe we're already at the end of the month of August? We made it here. Of course, it being a Thursday, that means we've got another weekly issue of the Bungie Weekly blog, This Week at Bungie. And this week, we have some chilly news to deliver to you all, because of course, Gamescom is also going on right now. And earlier today, Bungie actually put out a brand new trailer as a part of the Gamescom celebration, showing off the new Stasis Subclasses. And the trailers for those were great. We got to see the new 3 classes for our main characters. Hunters get Revenant, Titans are called Behemoth, and Warlocks will gain access to the Shadebinder subclass. And throughout the trailer, we got to see exactly how these 3 subclasses were going to work. And thanks to some expanded B-roll footage we got access to, we actually know at least what some of the supers are going to be called and how they're going to be working as well. For Titans, the new ultimate is called Glacial Quake, and it works fairly similar to the way Striker does. You'll don a new buff called Crystalline Plating, and your attacks will freeze and destroy enemies. They'll also shoot out kind of AoEs that will create ice blocks that you can detonate all across the battlefield. The new Hunter ultimate is called Silence and Squall, and it looks to be very similar to Blade Barrage. You'll throw some daggers that will go out and freeze everything within a localized area. And as you get kills with these new ultimates, you'll be able to generate new Orbs of Power, which seem to operate the same way Orbs of Light do, so it might just be Bungie renaming Orbs of Light over to Orbs of Power, since we're no longer going to be utilizing only Light when Beyond Light comes out. It might just be kind of like how Bungie moved on from Light levels in Destiny 1 to Power levels in D2. We might be moving from Orbs of Light to Orbs of Power to represent, the narrative changes when Beyond Light drops. Anyways, the trailer gives a great look at a lot of the new abilities that we are going to be getting our hands on when Beyond Light comes out. And it's not the only thing we're going to get to see. Over the next 2 weeks, Bungie is going to be releasing additional details through what they're calling Dev Diaries, and the first of those updates is planned for September 1st. Which of course is in just a few days. What they're going to be doing throughout these diaries is showing off the new subclasses and explaining more of how they'll work, so make sure you're staying tuned. If you happen to miss any of those trailers or the Gamescom experience itself, I'll have links to all of that down in the description box below, as well as links to the TWAB where they talk more about all of this stuff. And at the risk of making a dad joke, the new Stasis subclass is looking pretty cool. I'm looking forward to reading you Guardians' thoughts down in the comment section below. But that's not the only thing we had to talk about in this week's TWAB, because of course, we get an early patch note preview for Destiny 2 Update 2.9.2, which is slated to drop on September 8th. There are quite a few fixes that are going to be a part of this update, and Bungie thankfully gave us a preview of some of the biggest things that are going to be coming. Let's go ahead and take a look. First up, for the Solstice of Heroes, armor glows. A lot of you Guardians had complaints about, how the armor glows kind of look. They weren't as big and spectacular as you may have wanted them to be. Thankfully, Bungie was listening, and here's what they had to say about it. Shortly after Solstice went live, we became aware of a difference between how the Universal Armor Glow Bundle icon was depicted and how it was visually performing in the game. After investigating the issue, we felt the difference between them was too vast. We have revisited the glow intensity of these ornaments and enhanced the in-game appearance to match the icon as closely as possible. So basically, your ornament glows are going to be getting more glowy when September 8th rolls around and this patch goes into effect. And I have to say, I'm thankful for this. I'm glad that Bungie's making things a bit more bombastic. Nim, our buddy Nim Plays, talked a lot about how he was a bit disappointed with how muted some of the glows looked. Outside of the white glow, the stasis glow, or the glow that you get for completing the magnificent armor. He said that one looked pretty good, but the rest were a little bit underwhelming, so I'm really happy to see that Bungie's addressing that here. Next up, for those of you trying to complete all of this stuff on Mars and on these other planets before it disappears into the Destiny content vault, Bungie's got some news for the sleeper nodes on Mars. With additional Destiny content vault details available, we're seeing many players returning to content released in the earlier years of Destiny 2. Some players are hunting triumphs, while others are focusing on rewards. One of these rewards is the unique emblem players unlock after collecting all the available sleeper nodes introduced in Destiny 2 Warmind. Due to the way that sleeper nodes were created, they are unable to completely remove the possibility of receiving duplicate override frequencies, but we are making some improvements to greatly reduce the odds of receiving a duplicate. The following tips will help you avoid duplicates and acquire those final elusive nodes. When combining resonant stems, it is very unlikely that the resulting override frequency will unlock a node in your current area. For example, if you need to unlock a node in Heatsink, you should leave Heatsink before creating an override frequency. Destiny 2 has an internal checklist of nodes you have unlocked. This checklist is separate from the count you see in-game, and prior to this fix, the checklist would frequently be cleared. Clearing this checklist is the reason duplicates were so common. Going forward, the checklist will never be cleared. Note, if you create an override frequency for a node that you've opened in the past, you should open the node again instead of deleting the override frequency. This will allow the internal checklist to be updated and help prevent future duplicates. In different terms, the team has created a form of bad luck protection for sleeper nodes, but the tracking is starting fresh. Get hunting and you'll be unlocking a unique emblem before you know it. And now for you newer Guardians out there, back when Warmind dropped, sleeper nodes were these things that were scattered all throughout the Mars world space. And completing a few of the game's challenges required you to go around and open up these sleeper nodes. But getting the right frequency to open up specific nodes was a little bit difficult. When you were starting things out, it was easy enough to get random versions of them. But when you got down to only having 2 or 3 of them left, because there was like no real internal checking, as Bungie has mentioned here, that's what they're putting in, the duplicate protection. When you had only a few left to get, your chance of actually getting the right resonant frequency to open up those nodes was really, really low, so it became really frustrating. Thankfully, they are updating that checklist here with the things that I just read to make it so that if you have a few of those left to get, you should be able to get them fairly easily once September 8th rolls around. Happy to hear it. Alright, and finally we have a few assorted fixes and changes. Bungie's going to be fixing an issue where the player spawn effects would freeze in Gambit, with all the people playing Gambit right now, to complete their Solstice of Heroes grind. I bet everybody noticed that. I certainly did. They're fixing an issue where the ADS on the Cold Denial Season Pass ornament was different than the base weapon model. Redrix's broadsword will now be available to reclaim from collections, but note that it's going to be locked to the first roll rewarded when completing the initial quest. The Spider will now begin offering 3 weekly wanted adventure bounties, up from 1. And then finally, they're fixing an issue that prevented the exotic perk on the Merciless Fusion Rifle from triggering. And there we go, that's it for the patch note preview that we've got in this week's issue of the TWAB. They do state that there's going to be more general bug fixes slated for that update as well, and we'll be learning more about those in the coming weeks. But alright, there we go, Guardians. That's pretty much it for the biggest bits of news dropped in this week's issue of the Bungie Weekly blog, This Week at Bungie. Remember, stay tuned. Gamescom wasn't going to be the only time we were going to be hearing about the upcoming new stuff in Destiny 2 Beyond Light. On September 1st, we're getting the first of those dev diaries, diving into the Stasis subclasses themselves. We'll be learning more about the abilities that you as Guardians will be able to use when Beyond Light drops later this year. And again, if you happen to miss any of that kind of stuff, I have links to all of it down in the description box below. But there we go, Guardians. That's the news, and those are my thoughts. Be sure to leave me yours down in the comment section below. How do you feel about Stasis? I saw a lot of people talking about how exactly the subclasses are going to work, what's going to be new about them, and all that kind of stuff. Can't wait to get you Guardians' thoughts. But if you enjoyed the video, feel free to drop a like, make sure you subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date with all the latest stuff we're putting out. But I'm out for now. Thank you all so much for watching. And as always, I am the Black Link. You Guardians, stay frosty.